morning, campers. That was my tent spot last night, right there. Nice soft moss. I got my pack ready to go. You can see, I can see the trail from here. I'm only about 50, 60 feet from the trail. Nice little spot, very quiet. The ground was very soft. And in fact, my ground cloth was damp. I thought it'd be really damp this morning because of the moss, but the moss actually absorbed most of the moisture, so my ground cloth was almost completely dry. It wasn't clean. It still had dirt from the last place I camped, but that was a nice surprise. So I'm ready to go, and you'll notice here, trekking pole. I said trekking pole, not trekking poles, because I broke my other trekking pole. I broke it my second day back on the trail on Wednesday. But I was able to shorten it up and continue using it. It was about 10 inches shorter than I normally use, but it was usable. And then yesterday, toward the end of the day, I was like literally a mile from here, and it just basically fell apart. It just completely imploded. Some of the parts broke, and it's unsalvageable now. I looked at it, and there's no way for me to really make use of it anymore. I can't even use it in a short mode. So I'm on one pole until I get to Glasgow, where Stanimal's hostel is. So that's going to be a little slow going. So I have two options. I can either try to get to Stanimals in 2 days, which means about a 16.5-mile day today, and then another 16 or so miles tomorrow. Those are kind of long days, especially with only one pole. My other option is to do about 12 miles today, do about 13 miles tomorrow, and then do like 7 or 8 miles on Sunday. Get into Stanimals early and do all my resupply and my shopping and my laundry and showering, so that I can get up on Monday and get the first ride back to the trail and make a full day of Monday. So those are my options. I want to see how I feel, see what the weather turns out to be. It's supposed to be pretty good. It never rained last night. There's a 30% chance. I did hear some soft thunder, as I mentioned, but it never rained. It's actually very nice right now. It's clear sky. I'm hoping it doesn't warm up too much. But I've got to go a little slower with only one pole, especially on the downhills to save my knee. It's, I rely on those poles to break my momentum and to lower myself down. To save my knees. I also rely on them to power myself uphill. So it's going to be slower going up, slower going down. I think my best bet is probably going to be go a little short today, go like a 12-mile day, and go again 12, 13 miles or something tomorrow, and then like a 7 or 8 miles on Sunday to get to Stanimals. And hopefully I can get a trekking pole there. If not, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to suck. But anyway, I'm off and running, so we'll see what the day holds. I forgot to mention, I was hiking, and I was like, what's this? What's going on with my strap? My strap, if I can focus on it, it's like all torn up here. I'm like, geez, is it rubbing against something? Is it torn? Did something, cut into that? Well, when I woke up yesterday, I remember I had my trekking poles lying outside my tent, alongside my tent, right outside, so in case I needed to reach out the door and grab them for some reason, I'd be able to do so. I didn't want to bring them in the tent because the tips were all dirty. In the morning, one of my poles was all cockeyed. It was out, pointing out at an angle. It wasn't parallel to my tent, like the way I left it. But I thought, oh, well, maybe I bumped it in the night, because I toss and turn a lot, so I thought it was right next to my tent, so maybe I hit it and, that knocked it askew a little bit. But then I realized what happened. Some critter had decided to chew on my strap and had pulled it, been pulling on the trekking pole during the night and pulled it away from the tent a little bit. So I don't know why it chewed on my strap. I mean, if it was after the salt, you figure it would have chewed on the cork part where my sweaty hands are always grabbing onto. So, I'm having bad luck with poles this leg of my trip. I broke the one pole on the second day, and on the third morning, the other pole had gotten chewed. It's not chewed all the way through, so the strap's usable, but it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I guess I got to start storing my poles inside the tent, or at least like stand them up against a tree or hang them from a branch or something. Anyway, one thing after another. I made it to Hogback Camp, and I'm on my way right now to the spring to get some water. It's 0.3 miles off trail, which I'm really not a fan of, walking that far for water, because that's 0.6 round trip. But it's the only water for a little ways, and I gotta have water. It's a sunny day. I don't have a choice here. So I have less than a liter of water. So my plan is to finish off the water I have in both my bottles here. And this one's almost empty, this one's totally full. I'm gonna slug all that down, camel up as they say. And I'm gonna filter another liter, fill both of these back up, add my Propel and Tailwind to them, and then I'll keep half liter in each of my 1 liter bottles. So I'll have a total of 2 liters of water. Half here, then a half in each of my 1 liter bottles, just to balance out the weight of my pack, so I don't have more weight on one side than the other. It's good water, it's a spring, so it is what it is. I have to make the walk, otherwise I'm going to run out of water and I'll be dying of thirst by the time I get to the next source. Here is the water source I just filled up at. It actually starts up here. It's interesting that somebody put like almost looks like a wheel rim in there and already create a sunken area. It makes it easier to fill bottles. But I just did it down here where the water's flowing. Put my water bottle right there and let it fill up the water bottle. So now I've got an extra liter of water with me. I've got, as I said before, both shoulder straps. That's full. That's full. Those are both half a liter. Then these big liter bottles are both half full, that one and this one. So that's 4 bottles, each with half a liter of water in it, a total of 2 liters. So I'm going to be 2.2 pounds heavier right now than I was when I started. But it is what it is. I have to have water. So I got my water at the Hogback Camp spring. Good water, cold, clear spring water. And looked at my GPS, and I got 13 miles to the Reservoir, where there's a camp, where there's multiple campsites. And it's, well, it was 9:30, now it's 9:50, because I ran into another hiker and we were chatting for a while. And it turns out, believe it or not, his trail name is the same as my last name. Now, what are the odds of that? When he said his trail name, I said, you gotta be kidding me. And I have an unusual last name. And he goes, no. And I said, you're not gonna believe this. That's my last name. Bizarre. Anyway, so I've already covered almost 4 miles in less than 2 hours, really, because I had to stop and get the water and retrieve the water, filter the water, mix up my drinks in my 2 bottles here, Tailwind and Propel, and finish drinking one of my half liters of water, have a little cheese snack, and then get going again. So it's a nice day. It's not too hot yet. It's cooler than it was yesterday. Not as humid. So that's good. If it stays like this, all day, and the terrain doesn't get any worse than it's been so far, I could do the 13 miles. Because think about it. At 9:30, I had 13 miles to do. Well, I started hiking from Rockfish Gap at 9:30 on Tuesday, and I made it 14.9 miles that day. And that surprised me. I did more miles than I was planning on that day. And that included climbing over Humpback Mountain. Of course, I was fresh. You know, it's my first day back on the trail. So, we'll see. I'm not going to kill myself, but I'm going to hike, steady, nice and steady pace. See if I can't get to that Reservoir camp, because that will put me within striking distance of Glasgow. or at least the highway. I think it's Route 501 or 510, where I can get picked up by a shuttle. I can spend tomorrow night at Stanimal's. But I would get there pretty late in the day because it would be like a 16-mile day. So it'd be a long day. I wouldn't get in until, dinner time. Get my laundry done and shower up and just get to bed. And then Sunday, I would get my resupply box, which is waiting for me there. Go through that, figure out what I need to buy, and then go grocery shopping, get my resupply, and then still have about a half day of hiking. So it would be like a Nero day. Hopefully I could still get in, 7, 8, 9 miles or something that day. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. So 3 hours in, I checked my GPS coordinates, and 5 miles on the dot, which is not terribly impressive pace. But remember, I wasn't hiking for the whole 3 hours. I had to go a good quarter mile off trail, retrieve water, filter the water, mix in my electrolyte drinks, have a snack, get packed up again, and then hike the quarter mile back to the trail. And then I spent a good 10 minutes talking to that lasher, whose trail name is my last name. So probably a good 45 minutes that I wasn't hiking. So really it's about 2.25 hours, I would say. So it's an overall pace of about 1.6, 1.7 miles an hour. But, as far as my hourly pace, that's pretty good. It's like a 2.2, 2.3 mile an hour pace. So I'm doing good. Just plugging away here. We'll see how the rest of the day pans out, but I'm optimistic I'll be able to make it to the reservoir at a reasonable time tonight. Well, I'm on my way down Old Mountain, and just as I feared, even though it's almost all downhill or flat all the way to the reservoir, maybe a couple of small little ups, but mostly downhill and flat. The downhill is rocky and a little steeper than I'd like, so it's a little tough on my knees, especially with only one trekking pole to slow down my momentum. So I've tried my best not to blow out my knees here. Under normal conditions, I could make really good time down this downhill with 2 poles, just slow down my momentum. But 1 pole, I've got to go even slower. But that said, I've got a water source coming up soon, a couple miles maybe. Gonna refill there, and then it's only like 6 miles or something to the reservoir at the most. So I think I can do it. I think I can make it sometime between 5 and 6, and get a tent spot. There are plenty of them, apparently. It's a big, grassy, open area. It is a Friday, so there may be some locals who come out for the weekend, camping for the weekend, which is fine. But any event, oh boy, some more steep stuff here. Okay, my knees are already barking at me. Holy cow, I just checked my GPS position. It's 1 o'clock, and it's only 6.5 miles to the campsite. I checked my GPS an hour ago, and it said 9.5. So I just did 3 miles an hour. I know I was going downhill, but that seems crazy. Maybe I last checked it was more like 11:45 and not 12. In any event, I'm only 6.5 miles, and it's 1 o'clock. So I could take my sweet time if I wanted to. But like I said, it's all downhill and flat, so I should be there between 4 and 5. I'm going to take a break at the next shelter, which is about 1.5 miles from here. I'll get some more water, take a break in the shade, have a snack, get some more water. And then from there, it's only 4.7 miles, I guess, to the campsite, the reservoir. So turning out to be a pretty good day, although my knees are feeling it. I'm just leaving the Brown Mountain Creek shelter after a quick break for a snack, sign the register, rehydrate and filter some water. I was going to get some water from the creek, but it's only 5 miles to where I'm going to camp. And it's mostly downhill or flat. A few tiny little ups, nothing bad. It's not that hot today. It's warm, but it's not sweltering. Humidity isn't too bad. And there are several water sources between here and there. I'm going to be actually going around. Whoa, a big spider web right in the middle of the trail. Well, I have no choice but to break this thing. Oh, for crying out loud. Sorry, buddy. I can't get by you there. Wow. I guess I'm the first one to come by in a while. In any event. So, plenty of water sources. I'm going to be going around the reservoir to the other side. And there's, like I said, several water sources, so I'm not worried about it. I got a liter of water. That should be enough for 5 miles. If not, I'll stop somewhere along the way. Finally, I was reading through the gut hook comments on tent sites, and I gotta say, people should have to take a class before they're allowed to post on gut hook. I'm going over a bridge right now, over a creek. So, let me just say, I'll give you a view while I say this. If you use the terms left, right, before, or after, it means nothing if I don't know which direction you're traveling in. Left to a northbound person is right to a southbound person. Before to a northbound person is after to a southbound person, and vice versa. So, people leave these comments, oh, it's on the right. Oh, it's just after this. Oh, before you get here, do this. Oh, it's just over here on your left. I'm like, you people are idiots. Not everyone's going the same direction you are, dum-dum. Hello. That's why you're supposed to use west of the trail and east of the trail. If you're northbound, everything to your left is west of the trail, regardless of which direction you're actually heading. If the trail is going south, but you're a northbounder, it's still west to your left, and it's east to your right. If you're southbounder, it's east to your left, west to your right. So if you say east of trail, everyone knows which side of the trail you're talking about. You don't have to say left, right, left if you're southbound, right if you're northbound. You don't have to say that. Apparently nobody reads their AWOL guide or does any other research in preparation for their hike. Believe me, a lot of people don't. So, that's my pet peeve. And before and after are meaningless as well. Unless you say before no bow, after so bow, whatever. So, there you go. Anyway, I had trouble deciphering where certain camping spots are. There appears to be a lot of options there. I just had to kind of sort through them and try to decipher what the hell people were talking about because they weren't specific enough, which made their comments less than useful. So there you have it. Hey, I'm at my campsite for tonight, and I wanted to show you something I had to do because I only have one trekking pole. So let me show you my tent. It's my pack. There's a gravel road. I don't think it's very well traveled. And there's a creek, got a nice water source, and a little fire ring. Well, I got my tent in porch mode, but I only have one trekking pole. So as you can see, I had to use a stick. I found about a 3 or 4 foot length stick. I broke it off roughly the same height as my hiking pole, and I tied it out, and as you can see, the tent is in perfect porch mode, and I have a slip knot here, right here, so I can slide this up and down and create more or less tension on that line. And on this one, I have the line lock, and I can adjust the tension there. So, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. I had to figure out, I wanted to put it in porch mode because it's really warm. It's a little humid. There's not a lot of airflow. And so if I faced it, I figured if I faced it toward the creek, I'd have some privacy. I could leave that whole side open, get some airflow in there, and I could close off the other side toward the road for privacy. Right now I have it open so I can get in and out of there with my gear. But that's basically it. I just wanted to show you that because I've only got one trekking pole. And if I had no trekking poles, I could just use 2 sticks and do the same thing. So there's a tip from me to you. This little guy decided to visit my campsite. Hey there, little buddy. He's going to jump. Let's see. There he goes. Oh. Hi, buddy. You're hiding under there. I don't want to step on you, dude. I don't want to step on you. You gotta go somewhere else. All right, I'm going to pick up that guy and put him down by the creek because I'm going to step on him by accident.